Guys, this episode is brought to you by Relationship Theory. Now, Relationship Theory is a show where me and the hubby go deep on no BS relationship advice. We've been together for 20 years. So check it out. Subscribe now at youtube.com/relationship theory or click the link below in the episode description. Enjoy the show. Guys, I have lost count the amount of hours I have spent feeling guilty about something. And if you're anything like me, you have literally found yourself at times wasting your life agonizing over the guilt. And the worst part is, we do it on both ends of the spectrum. Feeling guilty about wanting to be independent in a relationship, and then feeling guilty you are not paying your partner enough attention. Feeling guilty over overindulging in food, then feeling guilty you are eating healthy and not partaking in your friend's birthday cake. Feeling guilty about putting everyone else's needs first and not actually taking care of yourself, to then taking care of yourself too much and feeling guilty about being selfish. Guilty for deciding not to have kids, or guilty for having them when someone you know desperately can't fall pregnant. It's like you're on the freaking teacup ride, spinning around and around, feeling nauseous and dizzy, wondering when the hell it will end. And just when you think it has, your guilt puts in another freaking quarter. So how the hell do we get out of this crazy funhouse that actually, guys, isn't fun at all? Well, today's 5 amazingly badass, strong, successful women are breaking down how they hit the whack-a-mole on the head and faced their guilt. They're showing us how we too can overcome the constant worry so that we stop allowing it to define who we are, what we do, but even more importantly, hold us back from who we want to become. So guys, welcome to Women of Impact. Tip number 1, don't freaking downplay your success. Amy Morin shares why on earth you should never feel guilty for sharing your success. There was something else that you spoke about which I find fascinating. I've personally struggled with this, is don't downplay your success.
Yes.
You had said that more women typically do this. So do you have a reason or an explanation why women do this? And then let's break that down, because it's still something that I struggle with and find it difficult to have those barriers of like, I don't know if I'm going too far, if I'm going too, light. So let's start with the why.
I think we're taught to be really humble, and you don't want to look arrogant, especially nowadays. We're talking about narcissists, and nobody wants to look like that. And so because of that, we go so far to the other end of the spectrum. We think, oh, I'm just being humble, or I'm not bragging about myself. But to the point that we really do have trouble just acknowledging, yeah, I put in a lot of hard work and I am successful. And you can see it in compliments. When men get compliments, they're much more likely to say thank you. When a woman gets a compliment, they're much more likely to say, no, you're amazing. And we give somebody else a compliment. Or we say, no, it wasn't a big deal. We minimize it and really try to pretend like it's not something huge. Or, we just downplay it to the extent that it's almost like we insult the person giving us a compliment. We say, no, it wasn't a big deal. Or we almost offer something back that sounds kind of crazy. When somebody says, I really like your shoes, we say, oh, these, I got them on sale for 99 cents.
Why do we do that?
I think because it comes back to feeling guilty. Like, no, I don't want to acknowledge that I have good taste, or I don't want to acknowledge that I have something that's kind of cool. So we talk about the really small price tag, or we try to say it's, I found this on sale. Whatever it is, it's almost like there's part of us that feels guilty to just say thank you. Like if just saying thank you somehow means that I'm implying, yeah, I know I'm awesome. So,
right, okay, so yeah, how do you avoid that coming across like that if you say thank you?
So I think it's okay sometimes to just say thank you. When somebody says, I really like what you said today in that meeting, you just say, oh, thank you for noticing. Something else you can do if that feels too uncomfortable is to acknowledge the hard work that got you there. So when somebody says, I love that you got this promotion, or I'm so excited for you that you have all this success, instead of just saying thank you or thanks, it's no big deal, say, thank you, I put in a lot of hard work. And when you acknowledge your hard work that got you there, it doesn't come across as arrogant, but also just gives you credit for the fact that you didn't just wake up and become successful. You put in a lot of hard work to get to where you are, and it's okay to acknowledge that you put in the time and the effort to get there.
Yeah, God, I still struggle with that. Knowing where the difference is between owning it if someone's giving you a compliment,
right,
and then let's say, the humble brag, right? Like, because here's what I struggle with. I don't want other people to feel badly about themselves.
Yep.
But at times, I'm freaking proud of something that I've done. And so it's like, especially if they're close to me, I want to like say, oh my God, like, did you see this? I'm really proud that I had gotten myself to this point. I've worked hard, I've taught myself, whatever it is. But if it's to somebody that potentially isn't in a good place, I find myself just not saying anything.
Right.
Because I don't want to hurt that person's feelings. And so I really struggle with that, because especially some people who are close to me, they're like, no, I want you to tell me. But I know it's still going to hurt their feelings.
Right. So I think it's about knowing, you can be tasteful. And so if somebody's going through a really specific struggle and you just succeeded in that exact same area, then maybe you don't want to say it that day. But it's okay, I think, to share your success with people and to know that maybe you're inspiring them too. Maybe you give them hope if they know that you succeeded in an area or you achieved something and they know you, they may want to learn from you too. So that it's not your job. You're not in control of how other people feel about themselves any more than they're responsible for how you feel about yourself. So it's okay to talk about it. And maybe every once in a while somebody else will feel bad, but at the same time, there's probably plenty of other people that you'll inspire. And even if they do feel bad, that's up to them to figure out how to take care of themselves. And it's not up to you to shrink yourself, minimize yourself, or try to protect other people. It's okay to be proud of the successes that you have.
Tip number 2, choose your journey. Sonia Hatter and Lillian Garcia share exactly why you shouldn't feel guilty for having kids or not having kids. I was so approaching this episode from like, as women, what different choices did we make? And then talking about those choices and how it wasn't easy for any of us. So why are we always judging each other when we're all struggling to own our decisions? And then I came across a quote of yours that really hit me. What? You don't breastfeed your baby? You use formula? You must be lazy. You don't use clothes diapers? You feed your baby food that is not organic? What does a stay-at-home mum even do all day? So why do women even think like this? What might be right for you and your baby may not be what others choose to do. We all need to stop criticizing and judging other parents. And it hit me, I was like, wow, here I am worried about women judging each other for the different choices we make. And you had literally said, but even when we make the same choices, we're still judging each other on the type of mother we're going to be. So yeah, you just completely opened a door to something I'm desperate to talk about.
Well, I thankfully did not have a problem with breastfeeding, and I see lots of women that struggle with it. They can't produce the milk, and they're judged when they have to give formula, but they physically cannot make milk. And yet moms are telling them, like, I can't believe you're giving your baby formula, and they can't produce the milk. And it's like, you're already in a hard spot. You haven't been sleeping, you're this, you're already being judged. Like, it didn't matter if I was throwing away a regular diaper. People were criticizing, why don't you do cloth diapers to help the environment? You have a for-purpose business. You want to make money matter. Why don't you do this and this and this? And you know what? I don't have time for it. And I did diapers, and I just organic food. I have all these, I was trying to make for my first daughter. I was at home. My husband was gone speaking. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to cut up some butternut squash, and I'm going to do the food processor, do it all. And look at me, I did it. Like, everyone, please don't judge me. But I was exhausted. And it's like, for all the moms out there that do have children and, want to work or work one day, just know, like, it will get easier. And, I just want all the moms just to be easy on themselves. And you know what? If there's laundry, my house is a mess right now. It's a mess, but I'm okay with it. And my husband's okay with it because I get to be there for my children. I am here. I am like doing so many other things. So like moms just have to be easier on themselves. And you know what? If you need to take a nap, if you can, take that nap. If you want to go for a run and work out and that gives you joy, remember to take care of yourself. I think self-care is really hard to do when you're a woman, not even a mother, because I'm sure you guys will do whatever you can for your husband. You will, when you were saying someone said you're not mothering or nurturing, yes, you are. I've seen you with your puppies. I've seen you with Tom. I've seen you with your businesses that you've created. A business is a baby. And so I really think that it's just, everyone needs to be easier on themselves.
So how do you do that? Because you know me, I'm always like, give me exactly what you were thinking in that moment. So you've got people saying, I can't believe you own a for-profit purpose company and you're just trashing this stuff. So you're feeling the guilt. It's building up, I'm sure. That moment where you're like, you know what, this is holding me back, and you decide, you know what, I'm still going to use it. How do you actually then do it? Because I'm sure a lot of women right now are listening, and everyone feels the guilt. And I want to talk about guilt with you as well, because I had to go over a lot of guilt as well. Feeling the guilt in that moment and saying, but I'm still not going to listen to it and succumb to it.
I thankfully have a great husband. And for the women out there that are single or widowed, I really think if you have a good friend or a family member to help you see that, because it's hard at the moment.
Right.
And so thankfully I was able to cry, which a good cry always helps. And, and like actually communicate with others and hear their insight, because sometimes you don't always see it. So it's really nice to be able to talk to him and for him to just be like, babe, you're an incredible mother. I like what you are doing is good for you. And I just the affirmations that he gave me, I'm not a words of affirmation for the 5 love languages. That's not me, but at that moment I needed it. And so I think that if you can't get through it by yourself, talk to somebody. And over time, you'll be able to get over all those things too. So you need time and communication, I think, for all things that you're hurting about.
And it must have taken so much strength for you to say that out loud.
It's embarrassing.
Right.
Like when you're sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, am I not a good mom? Like, was I deserving of these children where all these women are trying to have kids? And I got pregnant a lot quicker than I imagined. I wanted to have a baby at 35. I was like, I need 10 more years to build my career. I want this and that. And all of a sudden I had my daughter, and it was a shock, and it was really difficult.
Let's put a pin in that, because I want to talk about the guilt thing for not having kids.
Yeah.
Did you feel any guilt when you first were going to just follow your career?
I didn't feel like the instant guilt, because I felt like I had time. And so when people would tell me, oh, what about kids or something, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's coming. It's coming. Even though I knew in my head at that moment, I was like, oh no, it's not coming.
Right.
Like, I don't feel like I'm made to be a mom. Like, this is not for me. Even now, if somebody said, how could you not have kids or something, I literally would be, because my path is different. I just have a different path. Everyone has a different journey. So stop trying to impose your journey on my journey, And I think it's important that everyone chooses what's right for them. I think that that's the mistake, is when we're choosing what's right for society or the society says, that's when you get into trouble.
Tip number 3, let shit go. Natalie Ellis shares why you can't be everything to everyone. So what happens when your personal why comes into conflict with your business why?
That's a really good question. So I've had this happen so many times. Last year it came in, like, really happened in a big way, where my husband quit his job. He wanted to start his own company, and I was like, yep, great, we'll 100% support you with that, but I need help because I'm traveling around the world doing events for a month. It's going to be intense. Can you come and support? So he was around, and I had 0 time to spend with him. When you're just so exhausted, you have nothing left to give, and to try and do it would really not be an integrity for myself. And it caused so much tension between the two of us. And he was like, I feel like you don't love me. You don't want to spend any time with me. And what we realized from that is, not everything is always going to be in balance. And yes, you might be doing this thing for your family, but in order to actually do the thing, you're going to have to sacrifice some things sometimes. And so we really believe in harmony, where some months we'll spend so much time together and other months we won't. But it's about those conversations you have beforehand. And I feel like if I'd really explained to him before we went traveling, I'll have no time with you, and I'm going to really need this from you, and just was more upfront about it, then we wouldn't have had that big argument or arguments. And so that's what I do now. I say to him, if it's like a crazy week, I've got a really crazy week this week, I might need a bit more support, I might be a bit more on the edge, or I might not be cooking dinner for us, and just setting that expectation. And once he knows that, I feel like he can't come and say, well, why are you not spending time with me? So it's a balance.
Have you always been in tune in that way to be able to articulate to him, hey, I might be a bit off balance myself, or I may be agitated or whatever. Have you always been that self-aware?
I've been aware, but I had a lot of guilt in that I thought if I wasn't showing up as the best wife and all the things, then there was something wrong with me. And so I know internally, okay, I really just needed him to support me a little bit more, but I wasn't voicing that. So I was showing up at home exhausted, still trying to cook dinner, having no conversation whilst I'm eating dinner. And he's like, wait, you said you want to spend time with me, but you're not even showing up. Whereas now I'm more confident in myself to be able to say, no, I'm not cooking dinner tonight, or I want to go and eat on my own. I want to spend time on my own. But I don't know, it's one of those things where you can just feel so much guilt around not doing it or being all the things to everyone at one time.
Yeah, I mean, God, I've definitely suffered for that when I first started entrepreneurship as well. My husband was like, oh, you're just shipping a couple of bars off the living room floor. It's not much, not a big deal. And before I knew it, I had 40 employees underneath me and running our shipping department. But I then had to make that transition because I so wanted to be a good wife. And it was very difficult for me to let go because I wanted both. It wasn't like, as much as I didn't enjoy being a housewife, I really did want to still be a good wife and support him in the way that he wanted support. And so I really did struggle with the guilt aspect of it. How did you get over that?
I think it definitely still comes up for me every now and then, where like there'll be times where, even with my business partner Danielle, there'll be times where I just feel like I'm not showing up in the best way for her. Like I might be like busier, or I might not be able to like hold space for things she's going through or that kind of thing. So it still comes up for me. I've really tried to just, do enough inner work that I realize that my worth and my value is not defined by how many hours of work, how much time I put in, how many things I do for people, but actually it just is, and I am. And everything else on top of that is a bonus. That's one thing that helped. And another thing, I just had like a really upfront conversation with Steve, my husband, and I said to him, I feel like if I'm not doing X, Y, Z, you aren't as attracted to me, or you don't love me as much. And I like put my whole self out there crying, and he was just so surprised that I felt that way, and really reassured me. And that if it comes up, then I will say to him, I'm feeling that thing again. Can I have some reassurance? And he'll get, oh, this is just one of her things. I'm going to help her work through it.
Tip number 4, find the right balance. Beth Manos-Bricky shares why you don't need to deprive yourself. The thing is, now I'm balanced, and I'd love to know your thoughts because you've really suffered with the same things, Beth, it's not even just about the squidginess, because I'm like, okay, my pants are tight, like my butt's filled out so Tom likes it. But I started to notice that I was getting, my body temperature started to rise. So I wear an Oura ring, and when I sleep, since I've been eating coconut sugar and coconut flour and like cookies and stuff like that, my body temperature is like up 3 degrees.
Wow.
I'm sweating way more than I normally do.
Wow.
My brain fog has like quadrupled, because I still suffer from a little brain fog in a way. And I'm freaking tired all the time.
I mean,
I think that's your answer.
I know.
I think you just figured it out.
But then there's that conflict between the fact that like, but I can now eat it.
But this is what I think is that you've had that experience, right? So number one, I'm assuming you have zero regrets having that experience. Number two, for me, I think we should limit if we're turning to food to placate certain emotions that we're not managing on some baseline level. I think that's where we get into problems. You're Greek, like I am. Food is family, food is community, food is emotion, food is tradition. I struggled with that myself, where I got to a certain level of managing my leaky gut, beating a parasite, dysbiotic bacteria, constant bloating and gas, and feeling like just crap all the time. I got to that level, and I did very aggressive, severe things because I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, and it was all worth it to me to do that. And then I was like, how do I find the sustainability and the balance to maintain this level of health that is the most important thing to me, but still live a life where I'm not having food FOMO, where I'm enjoying experiences and trips and family and foods that taste so good. And for me, I joke about being an abstainer because it's really easy for me. I like some amount of, while I'm a rebel, I do like some level of rules. It helps me follow something. I've also learned a lot about myself, getting back to listening to my body and listening to the whispers. I've learned part of why I love being an abstainer is that control. When I started to learn that I could trust myself to have these experiences, these moments, the coconut sugar paleo treats that maybe after 4 servings start to bloat, but 1 or 2, provide me with a really joyful experience. Sugar and carbs make us happy. Like, There are neurotransmitters created in your gut when you eat foods that make you happy. Like, we're not bad people because these foods make us happy. We're human beings that have things going on. So for me, it's about finding that balance. And sometimes we have to go to the one extreme to the other to be like, okay, this wasn't working and it's not sustainable. Neither is gorging myself on every paleo treat that I can get my hands on. Well, there's got to be a middle road. And then the other thing I was going to offer as like an actual tip or something you can take in, and this is something I use with my clients, going back to what do you want? It sounds like you want to not feel like shit.
Yeah.
That's number one for you. More than a little bit of extra weight on your body that's most important. Then it's about, is it worth it? Does that food help me to continue to feel like my best? If the answer is yes, but only one, then yes, but only one. If the answer is no, it's not worth it, but you still eat it, know there's going to be consequences, and leave it at that without any significant shame or feelings of guilt.
But so like if I want to eat, like this happened like someone made these like amazing gluten-free muffins or whatever. It doesn't matter if they're gluten-free or not. If you eat 11 of them,
you're going to feel like a dumpster fire.
You feel like shit. No, but seriously, like, oh yeah, one would be fine. You said, oh, if you have 1 or 2 or 10 or 20.
Yeah.
Like, so what I did, I had like I was like, the guy's like, oh, he's like, I made these blueberry pumpkin gluten-free muffins, and I was like, oh shit, like I knew this was a bad moment. That or French fries, I'm screwed. So I was like, okay, I said to him, I'm only going to have one. Well, that was stupid because I know myself. That one, I ate the whole tray. He comes back, he's like, where's all the muffins for everyone else?
You're like, what muffins? There were no muffins.
Exactly. So my point is, knowing your personality type, I think, is so crucial in picking any of this stuff because you kid yourself. Like I knew that was going to happen if I even had one.
Be like, but this time I can do it.
But this time.
And I think with your situation and anybody out there that's dealing with the same thing, I think you have to give yourself permission. It's really important that we give ourselves permission to avoid shame, guilt, whatever, and say, okay, I'm going to spend 2 months or a month figuring out what balance works best for me. And you know going in, okay, I'm going to have a week or a couple days where I'm brain foggy and I'm feeling like crap, but this is a test. Like this is for me to figure out what works for me. And then when somebody else is asking, it's like, hey, here's my balance. Here's how I found it. Here's how you can find it too.
Tip number 5, actually want good things for yourself. Nadja Zabayan shares why you should not feel guilty about wanting amazing things for yourself. So in fact, going to judging yourself, I think it's very typical, especially women, and I try not to generalize, but that we do blame ourselves for things. And I've got a great quote of yours about blaming ourselves. Would you ask the sun why it shines brighter on some days than others? Would you ask the moon why it breaks the darkness on some nights and not others? Such is the course of life. Some days we give our best, but other days we just exist. Some days we are kings and queens of our minds and souls, and some days we are spaces to our hearts.
Yes.
So I think on those dark days, on the days that the sun isn't shining, we blame ourselves, right? Like it's our fault, we're doing this. But I love that when you say like, that analogy of like, if you just look at it as a totality, it's just the circle of life. So talk to me about that. It's so powerful.
We are very hard on ourselves, especially during this time with social media being so overwhelming for so many people. We think that every single day we need to have something amazing going on in our lives, or we have to be positive all the time. I can't tell you how many times people ask me, how do you stay positive all the time? And I'm just like, I'm not.
Good for you.
You think that I am, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not positive all the time. And so I feel that we are very hard on ourselves when we look at the lives of others and say, why haven't I achieved that? Or why haven't I achieved something similar to that? What more could I be doing? And so you're constantly focused on what needs to be done instead of what needs to prepare you for what needs to be done. And right? So you want the recognition, you want the relevance, but you don't want to do the hard work that leads to that. And so I wrote that just to say that, first of all, I always say, you are the sun. The very first entry in Mind Platter is titled, You Are the Sun. So I envision and visualize that
I am a sun. And some days I'm very bright, and other days I'm hiding and you can barely see me. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not constantly being that shining light on everyone and everything. There's nothing wrong with you taking time, first of all, to take care of yourself, and second of all, to ask yourself, where am I and where do I want to go? Instead of just saying, I want to be in the spotlight. You can't be always in the spotlight. And if you are, that's going to burn you out at some point.
It's the same with happiness, I think, as well, right? Me included, like I'm always looking like, oh, I want to be happy. But understanding that you can't always be happy. And it's that precise notion that allows you that when happiness does come, for it to be so consuming and enjoyable. Yes. But I don't think we would have that if we always had happiness.
If you have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
I am not of the mindset that it's okay to tell people, just be grateful for what you have, because look at all the people suffering and struggling. Okay. Because I feel that gives people a sense of guilt for wanting certain things in their lives. Certain things that very much could be needed, like love and I know that, you know, some people will say, well, that person doesn't have money to buy food, and you're saying that you want to be loved, but love is such a fundamental thing to all of us, right?
Dude, that so hit me. You're so right.
So I don't like that attitude of saying just be grateful for what you have because of all these other bad things. It kind of puts you down in a way that makes you feel like you are asking for too much, or you are being selfish by asking for something that you need, right? It's not dealing with the issue that you're going through. Yeah. It's telling you compare it to something that's worse. Instead of saying compare it to something that's worse, say go help that person, right? Help them. This is the need that they have. Go help them with it if you can, but also help yourself with what you need.
Guys, thank you so much for watching that. And if that brought you value, do click that subscribe button for more badassery. And if you want to follow me at Lisa Bilyeu. And until next time, guys, be the hero of your own life. Peace out. How do we know when it's time to break up with our other half? Will having kids ruin both of our dreams? Why on earth can we not control that ugly jealousy that rears its head? When do you know if it's time to actually move in together or get the hell out? These are just a few of the no-holds-barred, no freaking BS conversations we'll be tackling on our new YouTube channel, Relationship Theory. Along with my hubby, Tom Bilyeu, we bring our 20 years of experience and discuss openly all of the obstacles that have smacked us in the gut on a daily freaking basis. There's always going to be issues, guys. We've had to deal with family pressure, financial struggles, and a never-ending stream of obstacles. And just when you think one problem is solved and you're done, 10 others come and slap you in the face. And let me tell you, if you can't deal with the inevitable struggles that are going to come on with this relationship, there's no way you'll be able to stick together. Like most of our success, Tom and I, we've gotten where we are by making a lot of mistakes and then learning all along the way. And now, through our relationship theory, we're starting to share with you what we've learned. Tom and I will tell you that if you want to stay together, you better open up or shut up. We'll also share some secrets on how to keep the sexual spark alive and practicing tools to help you stop fighting, because fighting may be inevitable, but these are the tools in order to help you stop. So guys, whether you're in a relationship or not, learn how to freaking level up on your game by subscribing to Relationship Theory at youtube.com/relationship theory, or click the link in the top of the episode description. So until next time, people, be the hero of your own life. Peace out. What up, guys? Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like another dose of badassery, make sure you watch this video right here or this one right here, because I know you'll like them.
But hey, also, while you're here, guys, you might as well click that subscribe button down there so you don't miss any future episodes. And until next time, be the hero of your own life. Peace out.